all most welcome to this press brief, and as well, just to show also our Swedish colleagues that as we are in Finland, we are when it's 12 o'clock we'll start, and thank you for showing up. For some of you, we've seen many times, and it's especially nice to have this big audience here. And as we also now have the possibility to give some updates on the HX. We have an agenda with the both on Saab Finland update what we've been up to, but then naturally concentrating on HX and also on some additional capabilities which might be of interest. But well, to start with the update on Saab in Finland. When we're in Finland, it's always emphasized that security of supply is the basic for the Finnish defense. And again, the foundation of Saab was one reason. The security of supply was the real reason, as before the Second World War, the Swedish government realized that you don't go and buy military aircraft that easy, and that's why Saab then was founded. Ever since, there's been a long journey, and now we really have a broad portfolio. We have military applications, we have civilian applications, we have everything. It goes from down down underneath the surface, from submarines up to fighter jets. We have civilian applications like air traffic control or even field hospitals, and we also have naturally sensors and weapons. Saab in figures today, when I started 5 years ago, Saab was 12,000 people. In the recent years, we've increased the number of personnel up to 70,000. And the main reason for that is that, as you see here, for the time being, Saab has an order backlog which equals 3 years of sales. The biggest reason, naturally, is the Gripen program, both in Sweden and Brazil. But there's also, on all domains, a huge increase in the order backlog. And then, when you need more personnel, as there's a lack of experienced people, so instead of doing like they did in Sweden in the 60s, to ask people to come to Sweden and offer them jobs, we've done now the other way, in accordance with Saab's strategy to be globally domestic. That's, for instance, why Saab has now also increased its footprint also in Finland. And I'll tell you some more of that. But we're also present in 100 countries, but similar offices like we have and activities as we have in Finland, we have in more than 30 countries. In Finland, Saab has been here since 1946. The total number of employees of Saab, that's Saab Finland and Combitech, total is a bit over 100. And we have offices both and activities both in Helsinki, Tampere, Espoo, Jyväskylä, and in Säkylä. Some years ago, we also started up a research cooperation with Aalto University. It's a 10 years cooperation. We now have 2 years experience of it, and it's for the time being we're part. We have 3 PhD students ongoing, but 9 projects. It's a cooperation which is worth approximately 2 million per year, and Aalto is also extremely happy with that. As I said, this is the first time when they have a long-term cooperation with a commercial company. Previously, there were 1 or 2 years, and when they were finished, normally they were not continued. Then we have the research center in Tampere, for the time being, employing a bit more than 20 engineers, and all the work they are doing there is part of the Swedish and the Saab's research and development. So everything they do is then considered also to be as a military export to Sweden. Luckily, we're allowed to export things to Sweden. And we also have a large installed base. There is not a single naval ship that doesn't have at least one Saab piece on board. We have missiles in anti-tank, anti-aircraft, and also anti-surface missiles. Because all the Finnish conscripts are nowadays Saab mannequins, as they have. The Finnish defense forces are because they're heavy users of our simulators. And if you see what's the recent years we've had major contracts signed. First on the naval side with the Hamina midlife upgrade with 5 different subsystems, one of them being the torpedoes. Then also this year we signed a contract already on the small arms indoor trainer, which are being distributed to the defense forces this year. And then with regard to the strategic projects in Squadron 2020, Saab has now been selected to be the distributor of the combat system, or being the combat system contractor. We're still waiting for the final contract, as we're waiting for the ship contract negotiations to go on. But then naturally, it's not only the Squadron 2020, but we're also part of the HX, and we also see that this is a benefit of being present in both strategic processes. So with this, I will hand over to Magnus Skogberg, who is the program campaign manager for HX, and I'll let you continue from here.
Thank you, Anders. Can you hear me all to the back? So also from my side, a warm welcome here to this gathering. Magnus Skogberg is my name, heading the Saab activities in relation to the HX program. Been doing so the last 6 years now, spending a lot of time here in Finland. I really like it. One office in Helsinki and one back in Sweden. I met many of you before, some new faces, and I'll try to mix my briefing here a little bit with some general and overall introduction, with also some news that we hope will be of interest to you. So first, a little bit more about the product, its capabilities, and then I will talk more about the offering that we have, with also some news to you relevant in the HX. We started off early, back in 2012-13, to support the early fact-finding activities of the Finnish Defence Forces, setting up the HX program. We are truly committed to this, and we see a lot of logic of Gripen being selected here in Finland in the future as the future fighter. And I'll do my best to convey how we are reasoning, why we see this logic, what it is all about. We submitted a response to the request for quotation in January this year, and we are now having quite a lot of dialogue together with the customer, but also local industry, to go through all the different details of this. When we submitted the response, it was more than 120 different documents, 3,500 pages, quite a substantial amount of documentation, obviously. It is a very well run program, well structured as we see it, and that makes life easier for us as well. So we're truly committed. What we're offering is the latest version of Gripen, the Gripen Echo or E series. It is designed to counter the most advanced threats and threat situations that we see around us. It is designed from the starting point as a true multi-role aircraft. And many claim they are multi-role, but Gripen was from the starting point designed for an an Air Force to be able to use one single platform type for the broad variety of different tasks an Air Force has. And with Gripen E series, we offer the very latest technology on board. There is no later aircraft design available on the market. And we have worked a lot to make sure that not only today and with the coming years here, but also for the long term, it shall be in a smooth and easy way possible to further enhance and develop. So we've looked a lot upon that and I'll describe more about it. So we claim it's a future-proof design. Also, it is important to make sure that we maximize the operational effect for the budget. I'll touch upon that as well. This is the way it looks like inside Gripen E series. It's a very modern aircraft system with a high-end situational awareness. So there is a big display in the middle presenting all the information to the pilot. And you see also obviously helmet-mounted display system. So really the most advanced type of cockpit and information system that you can think of. And the most important here is that nowadays with the E-series, the pilot is not any longer controlling each sensor specifically. The pilot is defining a volume of interest in the air. It may be a box in the air or a square on the ground, and that is a way of working with high-level commands so that the operator, the pilot, gets help from the sensor control system on board to use all the sensors in an optimal way. Some are more accurate in distance, some are more accurate in bearing, and this is combined through advanced data fusion algorithms, and a holistic picture of the situational awareness is then presented. The pilot can define a number of volumes of interest at the same time and follow them both on the ground and in the air, and also work together in a tactical air unit and use all the sensors on board these aircraft in a combined way. So it's a fully integrated mission system on board Gripen. Then obviously, in addition to know what's happening out there, we also need weapons for deterrence and for effect in a target. And we have taken the approach of the integrator to pick the best weapon systems from the best producers worldwide. And for us, flexibility is a key word here. We have a long range of different weapon systems that we are offering, and I think the flexibility is key. It is important to remember that the lifespan of weapons normally is shorter than the total lifespan of an aircraft system, and that means an operator tends to change and install and integrate new weapons a couple of times during a life cycle of 30 years. And we do this integration together with our customers and operators in a short period of time and to a reasonable cost. Then it's important obviously for our pilots to survive and to come back alive. With Gripen we have probably one of the world's most advanced electronic warfare systems. The protection system used to detect and also to repel the negative effect that an incoming missile may have. We have a fully spherical coverage, 360 degrees around the aircraft, with advanced sensors and dispenser systems. And already today, with the operational Charlie Delta version of Gripen, probably you will see one of the most advanced EW systems on board a fighter aircraft. There are specific EW platforms out there, but talking about fighters, we truly excel within this area, and we take it yet a number of steps forward with Echo and Foxtrot. Electronic warfare systems are also more and more used in active or offensive way nowadays. Sometimes we refer to electronic attack, and that means we use the energy to jam or paralyze the sensors of adversary aircraft or ground-based air defense systems so that they cannot see us, they cannot track us, and we make life hard for the adversary. On board the Gripen, the onboard electronic warfare system, we already have electronic attack capability integrated. And if and when needed, we can also complement it with additional pod and decoy systems to it, if we want to broaden the frequency range or have even greater effect. So electronic warfare, that's an area where we are excelling. Then, sensors and weapons aside, we need to be able to work in the everyday context. Gripen is designed for easy maintenance and harsh conditions. It's designed to be handled by conscript mechanics. A turnaround is being done, meaning the equivalent of a Formula 1 pit stop, within less than 10 minutes, with 1 certified technician and 5 conscript mechanics, and no one else even comes near that figure, so we are extremely proud of that. An engine change can be done within less than 1 hour, and that's also extremely important to make sure that Gripen can be kept up in the air, and it's extremely easy to service.
May I ask about the 10-minute turnaround time? Is that the engine running?
It can be used with engine running. We can do hot refueling, but no, you don't need to have the engine running to the 10 minutes.
Or 10 minutes.
So it depends. For some configurations, if you have a heavy load, air to ground, it may take slightly longer, but more or less everything you do within 10 and 20 minutes, depending on configuration. This example is an air-to-air, full refueling and rearming. And then also, we are quite many here, so we will try to save the questions to the end of the briefing. But I didn't say that, so it's fully okay. Furthermore, Gripen is designed for dispersed use at road bases. It is built so that no fixed installations are required. The only thing needed is an 800 meter long straight highway strip. And this means that we can use all the forward and remote operating bases of Finland, and we can easily also construct many more for more redundancy and more survivability. No fixed installations means no arresting wires or that type of systems, and this is contributing to the survivability. Often when we look at operational capability, we look at mission execution. What sensors and weapons do we have? And obviously we need to look at survivability. I talked about the electronic warfare system. But the two lower headlines, the availability and cost efficiency, also comes in. Gripen is designed to be extremely available, and that means we can optimize the number of sorties that you can get out of each and every aircraft that you will buy. And the cost efficiency of Gripen will also mean that for a certain amount of money that you decide to spend, you will be able to either afford to buy more aircraft and or to afford to fly them more. So there are many factors building up the total operational capability that you get when you buy a fighter aircraft. And we feel that this is also the approach that the HX program is taken clearly. We think that is very wise. I talked about that Gripen is future-proofed. No matter how lovely and perfect system we have today, things change. There will be new threat systems in the future. We need to cope with that and be able to adapt to an ever-changing situation. Gripen is designed for this. Traditionally, in this business, people may talk about midlife upgrades. You take a big leap once or twice during the life cycle of the aircraft system. From the starting point of Gripen, we have adopted a stepwise and continuous development philosophy, so that every 3 years we have been coming with a new release, and that has shown to be very efficient to minimize the discrepancy between the needs we have, the requirements, and the actual capability on board the aircraft. Now, with Gripen Echo Foxtrot, we take this yet another step. With a new avionics system where we separate the flight critical part of the software from the mission related functions, we can do these upgrades much easier on the tactical side without having to interfere with and going through cumbersome, time consuming and costly recertification and revalidation of flight critical related software that we don't really touch or need to touch, because there is a much higher rate of change and needs to change on the tactical side. So this is a completely new way of thinking. As far as we know, we are the only ones that have taken this approach, and we are sure it will pay off a lot in the future, where we need to be more and more agile. And I'll show you a short film describing a little bit of this perspectives.
We're standing today in front of the truly unique aircraft. It's actually, for me personally, quite emotional. For the untrained eye, the viewer don't really see the difference from previous aircraft, but the heart and soul in this machine is truly amazing.
The future of air combat will be even more complex than it is today, and to be able to create the air power that Gripen creates today and make that show in the future as well, we have to make it future-proof.
To be able to be future-proof, it's not enough that this aircraft has the coolest software and the coolest computers today. I want to be able to give our pilots the best available computers on the market in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. We have built a system adaptable for the future.
The winner of tomorrow's air combat will be the one that's able to adapt to present circumstances, gets ahead of the enemy, and then can shift and strike from unexpected directions.
Traditionally, adding more software to a fighter jet requires a lot of verification, even on the existing platform. But what you're looking at here is the world's first reconfigurable avionics platform qualified to meet the highest safety and security standards. Reconfigurable means that we can add applications without having to re-qualify the platform. We can even change hardware without affecting the overall application layer, just leaving the aircraft with a lot more computer power.
The computational power in this aircraft allows for the use of today's most demanding algorithms, such as deep learning algorithms and the complex algorithms used for the sensor fusion, utilizing all the new sensors we have in the aircraft and also providing synergy from them. We are building to make this fighter as good as possible today, but what we also know is that we want it to stay relevant for a long period of time. And we don't know what the fight will look like in 30, 40 years from now. To ensure that we have a fighter that's still relevant, we are building it so we easily can upgrade it and use the latest and best technology out there when it comes to hardware and also when it comes to algorithms. That allows us to break the opponent's decision loop, and when you do that, you will win.
So this is really something that we are extremely proud of, and something that we are the only ones to offer today. We think it is something extremely important for the future. The Gripen system is a proven and mature one in operational use by many countries around the world, with more than 250,000 flight hours, and on top of that, we're working now with the E-series or Echo Foxtrot latest version. We see a lot of interest around the world when it comes to Gripen. We have activities on top of today's contract in Brazil. There is a long-term need for more than 100 aircraft. We also have lots of things ongoing right now in Canada. We've received the first draft request for quotation, and we're awaiting the formal one. Lots of preparations for that. The US flag is about test pilot schools utilizing potentially Gripen as an aggressor type of advanced trainer, stimulator, if I may say. In Europe, we have activities ongoing in Austria, in some other countries. You see here the Swiss flag, and I would like to comment also. Some of you may have heard that recently we have decided not to continue and go through in the evaluation process in Switzerland. And we have made that decision and also communicated it recently due to the fact that it has become clear quite recently that the customer is requesting and asking us to provide, and all the contenders to provide, a fully operational configuration of the aircraft. That we cannot offer with the E-series today. We have discussed with the customer in Switzerland different options on also utilizing Charlie Delta to show things that has not been accepted, and that is why we have communicated that we will not take part in this. Still, we see that Gripen would be an excellent, probably the best as we see it, option for Switzerland. It will be ready and in operational service years before the foreseen deliveries will start to Switzerland in 2025. We are meeting all the operational requirements that have been put forward in the request for quotation. Our offer that we submitted on the 25th of January this year still remains valid. However, this is the position by the customer in Switzerland. So it is what it is, and that's the situation. So I wanted to be clear on that. And I shall also say that that has no implications when it comes to Finland. I'll come back to that a little bit. But there is a completely different setup. We have a good discussion together with the HX program on how to substantiate what we are offering and submitting here in Finland. And I think there is a very kind of mature view that you need to use a number of different ways to substantiate something around an offering and an aircraft that you will start to deliver in 2025, and that will be fully operational from 2030 to 2060. In order to have everything in operational use today would mean that we would be selling older things. And we think that the future is extremely important, and there is a balance here. Furthermore, in India, we have an offer on the table for more than 100 aircraft. Also discussions with Indonesia, Malaysia. So I won't dwell more on this, but we see a lot of interest, and we aim at selling 400 to 450 aircraft in the coming period of 20 years. The E-series updates we're working with right now is going according to our plans and schedule. We're following the contractual engagements with our customers. The E-series updates started with the contracts in 2013 and 14 together with Sweden and Brazil. 2 years ago about we had our first flight with Echo, and ever since we see a lot of stability, predictability, where our model-based design approach is really paying off. We can validate and see in the air what we've seen in the simulators, and we're very thankful for that. We're using 4 test aircraft in the program, Dash 7, 8, 9 and 10. Number 10 had its first flight on Monday this week, and right now the focus is on sensors and weapon systems. We've been flying since last year with Meteor, with Iris-T, different external stores, and the first serial aircraft is soon also ready for testing. The deliveries will be initiated later this year. We will with Sweden start off the joint validation and verification work in that. To Brazil, we'll also have the first test aircraft ready this year, and we'll start together with the Brazilian customer. The physical deliveries to Brazil will then be initiated in 2021 according to our contracts. And in 2023 we will be conducting the first test flight with serial production aircraft of the Foxtrot two-seat version. I'd like to mention that we're progressing well. We're expanding the envelope. We are now flying 9G, and we have made speed record, meaning that with our test aircraft of the E-series, we're now flying faster than we've done ever before with any Alpha Bravo or Charlie Delta. So that shows we've come really far. Also, we have all the tactical systems on board, including radar, electronic warfare, infrared search and track systems, so they are installed and being used. Also to mention that we are utilizing the -7 test aircraft also for a full E-series configuration in the back seat for advanced sensor testing and also for customer demonstrations. So we have quite a good set of test assets, and towards the end of this year we will have around 8 aircraft flying in the program. And this we do when we monitor closely together with the customers. This is one of the test pilots from FMV, Eric Wenset, and we have a similar approach obviously with Brazil as well to really involve the customers in the program. The offering to Finland in the HX program is about 52 Echo, 12 Foxtrot, and this is an all-inclusive approach we've taken, including all the needed equipment and services to operate this. So initial training package with many courses, all the simulators needed. We have the mission support systems and ground support equipment as well. Ancillary systems like pilots, drop tanks, launchers are also there, part of the package, as well as weapons, external stores, meaning different sensor systems. We're offering a full service or in-service support for the first 5 years for a smooth transition of the new system, an extensive industrial participation program, as well as an establishment of a local design, or how should I say, sustainment and development center for further adaptations and future development for the long term here in Finland to build security of supply. Then I'd also like to point out that we have a firm commitment on the table in this offer when it comes to price and delivery schedule, and that is not always the case in these type of setups. And what we would like to disclose with you today, because some of this we have already talked about, is that also included in this offering there are 2 Globaleye airborne early warning and control aircraft, and this is the most advanced AEW&C system available on the market today. It is something that we have included in our offering for the strategic as a strategic asset, 24/7 asset for airspace and surface surveillance in Finland, to enhance the situational awareness, and by that helping to build and work for the nation's territorial integrity. And together with the Echo Foxtrot fighters, we see that Globaleye would provide a substantial contribution here to the joint operational capabilities of the Finnish Defence Forces. And also this type of asset can be used in civil applications, border protection type of things, disaster relief, and we have taken the holistic approach of the HX program to procure functionality when it comes to how should I say, air defense and air power. This type of asset provides naturally information for all the domains and services of the Finnish Defence Forces. It gives a considerably increased coverage in relation to the nowadays ground-based radars, and that will provide more pre-warning time and hence work for the survivability and the possibility to react quicker. It will furthermore offload the fighter fleet not to be pushed to use the fighters 24/7 in a situation where we have instability in the neighborhood, but to be able to have a full grip on everything happening around Finland and still keep the fighter fleet to the maximum availability that would be required really when a war or crisis situation would break loose. With a mission time of more than 11 hours and 2 aircraft, we can easily have a turnaround for a 24/7 operation. So this is something that we wanted to describe to you, that it is part of our offer that we submitted in January this year. And we'll also say, we'll come back more to this. Freddie Fuller, my colleague, will within a couple of minutes have a more thorough briefing on the system, Globaleye as such. Very shortly, in the HX it's important to describe, and we have a lot in the offering about how we integrate the systems we deliver into the Finnish Defence Forces infrastructure. We've conducted a lot of site surveys and simulations to prove, and we see that we can use the existing maintenance facilities with very few or minor adaptations. We will have no additional burden when it comes to noise levels or other environmental conditions. All the road bases can still be used in the future, and we will have easily a full interoperability with the C4I command and control networks, and Gripen as well as Globaleye are both fully NATO interoperable. Security of supply is more or less a religion here in Finland. It is important to make sure that the capabilities are being established and secured to operate and sustain the system during the whole life cycle. We do not take easily on this. We have had a lot of focus, and we see that we would like to build high availability, and by that we design a support solution fit for the purpose. But we would also like to make sure that the operational relevance is there throughout the life cycle up until 2060, and we suggest to establish the Gripen System Center in order to do that. The support solution handles and covers all the critical requirements from the customer, where we establish extensive maintenance, repair and overall capabilities here in country. Everything needed on the main and forward operating basis, and towards the end of the day with this setup, 80 to 90% of all the maintenance, repair and overall activities will be conducted in country. We start this ramp up already from 2025 in a deep cooperation with Finnish industry, mainly Patria and Insta being the strategic partners to the Finnish Defence Forces. And then obviously on top of building substantial in-country capabilities for security of supply, we also see a lot of natural possibilities and synergies bilaterally between Finland and Sweden to further strengthen this security of supply aspect. IP or industrial participation is a way of building security of supply. And for the availability side, we have a thorough program to establish maintenance, repair and overhaul capability through on-the-job training, but also parts production and assembly of both engines and aircraft in Finland. And we will task Finnish industry to perform the majority of the maintenance, repair and overhaul activities that will start already when the first aircraft are arriving from 2025. For the capability growth, we also have a number of industrial participation programs, and it is about participation in development of some Finland-specific functionality. It is about the integration of Gripen and Globaleye into the Finnish Defence Forces infrastructure, both from the command and control aspect as well as the physical installations. And then, in order to both set up and over time run and operate this system center in country, the Finnish industry will have a key role in this. And the system center is about giving the the Finnish Defence Forces, together with local industry, the control and capability to keep Gripen operationally relevant. Both to do it autonomously to handle specific Finnish requirements, but also as a catalyzer to be able to take part and actively contribute to the common adaptations in the broader context of all the Gripen operators around the world. This center, we suggest, shall be connected in peacetime to Saab in Sweden, so that it will be always in sync with the Gripen main track. But if needed, it shall be possible to operate and run it on a full standalone basis. And we suggest this, and we discuss it a lot together with the customer, to operate this as a public-private partnership in one way or another, where Finnish local industry, mainly the strategic partners, us as the OEM of the platforms, and the Finnish operator, both Air Force and Logistics Command, would run this as a center of excellence with all the needed capabilities and resources. So we would have all the Gripen product data needed, software development tools, as well as simulators and rigs, so that we can go through the complete loop of finding out what new functions we will need in the future, and also turn that into reality and implement the functionality in the aircraft. Obviously, cost and price is of interest. You've all heard the 7 to 10 billion euro talked about in the broader context. Not yet the politicians have been declaring the exact amount that will be allocated, but the HX program is taken a design to cost approach. And we are with this package, including Globaleye, within the frame of the 7 to 10. And we meet the target for yearly operational cost that has been clarified. It must not be more expensive to operate the new fighter system with its additional systems around than it is to operate the Hornet fleet of today. And now I'd like to turn or give the floor to Fredrik, please.
Okay. Thank you very much, Magnus. My name is Freddie Fuller. I am the campaign director of Globaleye, as is the specific segment within the Saab Total HX offering. I'll take the next 10-15 minutes or so to briefly run through the key aspects of Globaleye as a strategic asset for the national Finnish Defence Forces. First of all, Saab has over 60 years of experience building best radars available to the market. And we have over 25 years of experience within the airborne early warning and control domain. So I guess it's safe to say that we have a pretty good idea what we're doing when it comes to radars and sensors. This has led us to a global footprint. In this picture we see the surface radar element, it's worldwide. And when we look to the airborne early warning and control segment, we have the biggest customer base in the world for our systems, spanning from Mexico to Thailand, from Brazil to Sweden. We have delivered to 8 countries, over 20 systems throughout the years. And the feedback that we get from our customers in relation to our capability of airborne early warning is fantastic. We constantly provide safety and security to people and society throughout the years. And that is very reassuring to us that we are doing the right stuff here.
The situation is tense. Known and unknown threats are growing beyond the horizon, on the ground, in the air, and at sea. You need full awareness of the situation to support your decisions. You need to take control of your surroundings. You need Globaleye in the air. Your border. The mission crew commander quickly requests scrambling of the quick reaction alert. At the same time, a suspect ship is leaving the coast. Are they related incidents? The sea surveillance operator and the Coast Guard conclude that the unknown ship is manned by pirates on fast patrol boat is launched. Since this is playing out far away from your own coastline, it's now up to Globaleye to provide the overview you need. Meanwhile, the quick reaction alert is already in the air, headed towards the unknown aircraft, when that operation turns into a rescue operation of a friendly aircraft. With Globaleye as the natural hub in both operations, you direct rescue resources to the aircraft in distress and Coast Guard assets to intercept the pirate ship, while maintaining the air and sea surveillance mission. You have the situation under control. This situational awareness and the ability to take on multiple roles at the same time is made possible by Globaleye's unique sensor suite and modern human-centric command and control system. Saab technology that lets you push the boundaries of what is possible to achieve.
So, with that film as a sort of a mindset, we can just briefly go through the effect of an elevated sensor. As Magnus pointed out, ground-based sensors have some limitations. They cannot see very far on low levels. Picture if you have a ground-based sensor. Let's play with the thought that you put it on a mast, let's say 100 meters tall. The line of horizon for that radar will be only 40 kilometers. So that means that anything flying in low on or coming on surface level will be detected only 40 kilometers out. If you translate that into a time aspect, how much time do you have to react? The answer is very little, maybe too little. So what we're doing here is that we elevate the sensor. We send it high up in the sky, well above 35,000 feet. And by so, we extend the low-level coverage with at least 10 times. That's 400 kilometers. If you translate that into time, it will give you an added pre-warning effect of at least 20 minutes. 20 minutes that could be critical for you in how you choose to operate in your time to react. And as Magnus also said previously, the reduction to the fighter fleet when it comes to their job of doing air policing, combat air patrol missions, CAPs as we say, is dramatically reduced, allowing them to be used in the most optimal way. That is all thanks to the fact that we offer an elevated sensor. Now, HX, it is a total capability approach from 2025 all the way up to 2060. And as I said, this is a strategic asset for maximizing Finland's national defense, from peace, through crisis, and ultimately, if worst comes to worst, also in war. We should remember that most military systems are used specifically for the task of war. Globaleye is contrary to that. It is that, but it's also to be used in peacetime and in times of crisis, giving you return of investment over the entire life cycle in a very, very clear way. Also, we're introducing Globaleye in order to be able to balance a potential adversary's capability. We know for a fact that a lot of nations are using airborne early warning and control as a very important component in their sort of multi-layered approach. Globaleye will meet that, but also exceed any potential adversary's capability in this arena. That is also important to remember. And by so, we offer ultra-long range and deep intelligence platform for the future. Globaleye is, of course, fully interoperable with the Gripen fighters and the ground-based legacy command and control chain of Finland. This means that the Gripen fighter pilot will, when he's flying his missions, share and have the same information that is coming from Globaleye, allowing him to perform even better. Also, not only reducing and securing the cost effectiveness of the fighter fleet, this has a dramatic impact also for the Navy. It has a dramatic impact for the Army, especially maybe the GBAD, the ground-based air defense. Also, 2025 to 2060, it's quite a few years, right? So we need to make sure that also Globaleye allows us to make future growth and capability enhancements as the threats become more refined. This is something that we picture that we want to do in coordination with the Finnish Defence Force and also, naturally, the Finnish industry. A few words about the new generation of threats. As we have said, threats continuously going to evolve. Electronic warfare and cybersecurity are very, very hot topics right now, as you may know. We also reckon that we will see stealthier objects, we will see faster objects, even maybe slower objects. All are potential threats. We can expect that there is an asymmetry to how we have to respond to those potential threats in all arenas, air, land and sea. And as the targets become increasingly more difficult to detect, we need to make sure that we have enough power and platforms to be able to survey this, to be ready for action. So, the picture on the left-hand side was the view looking from the side. On the right-hand side, this is basically what one Globaleye will generate in terms of surveillance picture. The inner green line represents those 400 kilometers line of sight. And the outer blue line represents basically the instrumented range generated from just one Globaleye in the air. So you can easily see that the magnitude of air, land and sea that will be surveyed just by one Globaleye in the air is quite impressive. A few quick words about Globaleye then as a unique solution. We are basing Globaleye on three main pillars. First of all, we're introducing smart thinking. That means that we are performing, as the only airborne early warning control system out there, a multi-role platform. It allows us to support air, land and sea at the very same time. And in order to do so, we have to have the right sensors to do this. One of those sensors is the second pillar, that is the powerful radar system. The AREI Extended Range Radar is a true landmark when it comes to the latest of radars. It is extremely powerful. I'll go into that very shortly. The third pillar is of course to have an aircraft carrier that allows us to do this. We chose the Global 6000 series from Bombardier for a very good reason. It is fast, it is agile, it has high service altitudes, it can easily be upgraded, it has the power to be upgraded for the future, and of course it has an extreme low logistical footprint, meaning that it is a cost-efficient platform over time. And from an operational point of view, our goal is to maximize the operational performance, finding all targets at any places, anywhere. That is our objective. And by Globaleye, we are quite confident that that is what we're going to achieve. It is provided from a sensor point of view with the AREI Extended Range Radar and the electronic support measures that is inherited in the platform. All this data that we are gathering needs to be controlled. Someone needs to be able to interpret all the data that is coming in. That is done via the command and control system on board the aircraft. However, we need to be able to share this data to the Gripen fighters and to the legacy C4I chain of Finland. This in order to achieve the best Kubernetes Turvallisuus effect that we can possibly imagine. Let's see here. So, a few quick words about the AREI Extended Range Radar capabilities. It has an extremely long range of detection, over 550 kilometers. It has truly high accuracy, finding basically very, very small objects at any speeds. Also, making sure that we know what altitude they are at. And it is very important to point out, it is extremely jamming resistant. The radar design itself, the selection of the frequency band for the radar, and the tremendous amount of power that we're able to push out through this radar in a very, very narrow beam gives us extreme robustness when it comes to jamming protection. All in all, this secures what the military often refers to as the ODA loop, the orient, the observe, the decide, and the act loop. If we can allow the user to be the fastest one to have the correct ODA loop, then we have basically won a great deal of the battle. Looking into the aircraft as it is scripted here in Finland, of course we have the main event sitting on the back, the AREI Extended Range Radar. And as a matter of fact, this is already today, the dorsal unit, the cabinet, is made by Patria. Additionally to that, we have, of course, the electronic support measure and the electronic intelligence system that sits within the aircraft. In order to be able to communicate to the outside world, the Gripen fighters, and also to ground, we have voice communication, we have the data links, and we have SATCOM. And in order to pick up cooperative targets, in peace and crisis, we can expect the civil aviation to be cooperative, we can expect the sea vessels to be cooperative, so we have ADSB for the aviation, we have IAS for the sea, and of course, for the friendly and allied forces military, we have IFF. Sitting in back of the aircraft, ultimately we have a self-protecting system, for instance, shafts and flaps. Looking inside the aircraft, basically what we're doing is that we have three main segments of the aircraft itself. In the aft section, we have all the hardware and the computer needed to run the system. And the mid section, we have the command and control. 5 mission operators can work side by side. Each can perform a specific task, or one operator can perform all tasks. Key here is that it is extremely flexible in how you set up the mission environment. So you don't necessarily have to be 5 people working constantly. You can perform some missions with 1 or maybe 2. In front of this section, we have a mission commander or rest area if you so like. Imagine if you want to fly 11 hours or more on a mission, you may want to have time to get some rest. So this compartment allows us to have additional crew in order to be able to perform 100% over long periods of time. And in front, naturally, we have the 2 pilots. And they will enjoy the fact that they will be flying the most modern aircraft that is out there today from a civil aviation perspective. Yes. So, Globaleye, to sum up, as a strategic asset for Finland, it is multi-role. It serves constantly and seamlessly across air, maritime and land domain. It is a true revolution in high performance and high availability with all the sensors that is equipped on board. It has seamless integration with the joint forces and the Gripen fighters. And it's in contract now, it is in production now, it is flying right now, so therefore it's ready to serve. And this is from the maiden flight some year ago. Okay, Magnus, I hand over to you for final closing.
Thank you, Fredrik. So we'll try to make a conclusion here and also leave some room for questions. As we see it, Gripen and Globaleye is really a perfect match for Finland. First of all, Gripen meets the Finnish Defence Forces operational needs. It is, as we see it, designed for the environment. It is designed for the threats and the ways to be operated with dispersed operations, road bases, conscript mechanics, and all that. Globaleye, as we see it, offers a tremendously strong complement, lifting the whole offering to another level for comprehensive security and for the broader operational capabilities of the Finnish Defence Forces. A strategic asset. We know that nobody beats us when it comes to cost, especially not when looking at the total life cycle cost, and that includes then the cost of operation. The HX program is taking a design to cost approach, and that means that we have the possibility, whatever the budget will be decided for, to maximize the content in that. Security of supply is important. Not only do we have the toolbox, but also the true mindset of working closely together with both our customers and local industry. Very good examples, what we're doing right now in Brazil, setting up a production development center as well there, and to make a true transfer of capabilities. Timing, we think timing is right. Gripen is a proven and mature system. With the E-series updates, we add on the very latest technology on board. And with the future-proof design, this will be operationally relevant easily from 2025 to 2060. And last but not least, we have as a company a true commitment when it comes to Finland. We have a long heritage, Anders talked about it in the beginning, but in a more broader context, Finland and Sweden have a very close relationship. We see the clear drive and aim from the politicians both in Finland and Sweden for a further deepened defense cooperation, and all the aspect, of course, that we have in that field of synergies, we think is something that forms a good basis for this type of very long-term program the fighter aircraft acquisition is about. So this is the logic we see. We hope that many more people see it, and we are committed to the program and looking forward to the next coming phases with deeper discussions with the customer, and we will receive later this autumn an updated RFQ where we'll start to detail things, and we are elaborating that now in discussions together with the customer. And as you may know, in 2021, the Finnish Defence Forces aim at making their decision. So thank you very much for listening, and please, there is time for questions. And after that, there will also be some refreshments, soft drinks, water, coffee, and lunch sandwiches in the little pavilion just here aside. But now questions, please.
No, it's very disappointing for Saab to hear the news from Switzerland, and I feel sorry about that as well. On the other hand, I think that that's a bit for Finland, because then you can focus on us. Is that right?
I'd say that we are not happy with the situation in Switzerland. It is what it is, but we clearly have to adapt to what the facts are today, and the customer is driving it. But as I said previously, we do not see any connection to our engagement here in Finland.
So, but
sure.
you still need to demonstrate within less than a year all the capabilities that you promised, or most of them, in a real plane. So are you getting ready with that?
We are working hard on that. We have deep discussions together with the customer in order to plan for the data substantiation and flight evaluation activities. We are planning to bring aircraft in the beginning of next year here to Finland to do that. We are planning to use a broad set of tools in order to really substantiate everything. And we have, I think, a good understanding between ourselves and the customer that we need a number of different elements and components to substantiate. So the expectations are high, and we are working to meet those expectations as well as we can. The customer here in Finland perfectly well knows that we do not have available today on the apron or the runway the aircraft configuration that we are offering. As far as we understand it, they see it as logic, and there are ways to handle it because they want to buy something for the future. More questions?
Yeah. These Globaleye planes, the crew that is doing the surveillance, do you think that that job could be done by Finnish conscripts, or should it be somebody who works for the Finnish Defence Forces? Is that something you can answer?
Yeah. In general terms, it is not really a conscript type of work. It is more the command and control type of operator task. Today, there are these types of people working, but with ground-based sensors on the ground, in caves and mountains, and doing similar types of work. And this type of profile, I would say, would be elevated inside a Globaleye up in the air. And we see that the operation of the aircraft, that's quite an easy thing to integrate a new aircraft type, just as the Finnish Defence Forces today are operating Learjet CASAs and special mission aircraft. So this is another type of it, but there is no magic around what profile type it is for the work in the back.
Yeah, I may complement that. I mean, throughout the there's an acoustic feedback here. Throughout the 25 years that we've been doing this, we have also naturally designed a very good training package, which always is tailor-made for the specific customer. And I mean, Finland is a high-end, high-driven customer, so for us it's basically very, very natural to perform a very easy and smooth training program for the right set of staff. Yeah.
More questions?
How long does the training take to operate the Globaleye? How long does it take?
The training program?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on from where you come, right? The pilot training is quite straightforward. It's not a big deal. It's civilian training, basically. The mission operator training depends on, as I said, it will be done during the program phase, basically. So when the aircraft are ready, the Finnish Air Force will be ready to fly it. So it's basically inside the program. Yeah.
Please.
Just to clarify, are you able to send an E-type Gripen to these flight tests in Finland, and are the Finnish Air Force pilots able to fly next week?
Sorry, if the...
Are you able to send your E-type Gripen?
We plan...
And are the Finnish pilots able to fly?
Yeah. We plan to send Gripen E, both serial and test aircraft to Finland next year. And we are right now discussing and looking into to what extent Finnish pilots will be able to take part and actually fly the mission. So we are discussing that, and I cannot go in public with all the details, but there's quite a lot of planning ongoing now between ourselves and the Finnish customer.
Was Globaleye included already in the first proposal in January, or is it?
Yes, this is nothing new per se or new to the customer, but for tactical reasons, the competition is fierce. We decided not to disclose that, but this was part from the very beginning of the proposal that we issued in January this year. And we have even had it as part of the request for information and our RFI response back in 2016. However, we have more and more elaborated it, and it's a clear part of our package.
I have a few questions, but maybe I start with one and then we go on to there. So, I saw that you included the arms package in that, which is kind of a natural thing for thinking. But as a pilot, you all know that when you need to use the arms, they run out pretty fast. And to me, it seems very important for Finland to make a contract where there's a continuous and guaranteed supply with arms. And I'd like to kind of entertain an idea that if the airplane is a short supply, Finland could possibly lease the planes from the West and pay arms and pilot in.
Yeah.
Is that something that is politically acceptable in Sweden nowadays? And would that be something that probably that would be okay for Finland?
Well, first of all, when it comes to security of supply, just as for weapons, it goes also for spare parts and all the things around the complete weapon system, where we need to secure back-to-back with all the involved parties so that we have no shortage of supply over time. The customer in Finland has taken a so-called total capability approach, where they would like to interface through the platform vendor relating to all the subsystems and weapons needed. And I think that goes for integration, the initial provisioning, but then on the long term there are other ways also of complementing your own stocks in terms of weapons, etc. Remains to be seen exactly how the customer decides to handle all that throughout 30 years. When it comes to leasing and handling things from a, let's say, Swedish or governmental perspectives, there are a number of examples historically where we have been and are leasing assets of that type. And I think that we cannot, shall not speculate on those details. That's discussions between the administrations and authorities in Finland and Sweden. But I think we couldn't have any better situation when it comes to closeness and the aim to work closely together. So that would be my response to that.
So you can see that there's a continuous supply of arms in a crisis situation.
Yeah, I mean, the answer needs to be yes. The security of supply is extremely important, and that is something that needs to be handled for the complete operational cycle, for sure. I'll see if there are more, and then we can come back see if there are anybody else. Otherwise, we'll take Your additional question?
Okay, so very interesting thing is the cost of operating hours, and Gripen C, there is some released information and estimations and operation hours. Cost of operating hours. Is E version similar, cheaper or more expensive, and how much per hour?
I mean, to simplify things, I would say that it's quite equivalent. There are some things that we are enhancing with the E-series, things where we work even more on the availability, where we reduce things of problematics that we may have had or so. Of course, with every new generation, you do things that get better and better. On the other hand, we have more functionality on board, we have more subsystems on board. That brings, of course, up the complexity a little bit on what this is all about as a technical solution. But all in all, it boils down to be in the ballpark of the same. That is our aim, and we also have obligations to provide that with our existing customers. Please.
Okay, so
and you think about your questions in the meantime.
So, Gary, you said that you have a continuous plan for developing the plane. Is there a chance for power vectoring with this engine? Is that a potential future development?
We have, in the initial studies of conceptual studies on Gripen E series, we have looked into thrust vectoring, we have looked at in different studies. We decided not to go that way, and that is not in the plans to introduce thrust vectoring on board the E series to date. I mean, everything is theoretically possible, but it's not in our plans to do that, no. We have an extremely high agility of the aircraft as it is, so that may be kind of more needed in other types of aircraft design. Here we have a very high maneuverability and agility working for survivability in the air from a platform perspective, and then on top of that, obviously, we have the extremely advanced electronic warfare system. More questions from the back, from the middle?
Well, one thing about the Globaleye, what kind of self-protection system it has? Flares?
Yeah, I mean, the exact nature of the self-protection system is, of course, not to be fully disclosed, but chaffs and flares are integrated parts naturally. Yeah.
So it's the main question is how easy it is to be shot down.
Well, first of all, this is an asset that has an extreme long standoff distance, and to my knowledge, an airborne early warning and control platform has never been shot down in history, and that's the fact that it serves way beyond the front line. So taking it out is extremely difficult. There are so many layers that you have to pass before that, and that's the beauty of it. You will see further than you are able to actually being shot down.
You don't need to patrol along the border to the east. You can patrol more or less over Sweden, and you can see extremely far away. So that gives flexibility. Any final question, please?
How about getting a little bit more power from the engine? It's Gripen is by far the least powered of the competitors, and it would seem like it would really benefit on getting a little bit more power, getting a little bit more super cruise, and getting it high and fast.
We always want more power. Pilots always want more power. On the other hand, looking at the thrust from the engine, we have the lightest, most lightweight configuration in comparison to any other fighters out there right now. So we think that the performance really is good, and more and more nowadays it is about what the sensors are doing, how far they reach and what they can do. Obviously, looking at the 30 years in the future, you will do tunings, you will do enhancements that may be also relevant within the area of engine and propulsion system. Let's see where the future will take us, but yes, as in every segment of a fighter aircraft, and I described this line, we need to keep up with an evolving world. But there is, if we would have had any plans or programs right now, we would have incorporated it already to the design. We are really happy with the design as it is today.
Just a comment and compliment to Saab technology. Finland has tested Drakens, and they actually turned around those in 6 minutes. in real operations, so we
Yeah.
know that it can be done.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really built for quick turnaround times, and we're happy with the long heritage we have here in Finland. I think that none of you have missed the Draken driving in here to the site. So that's of course a good remark of Saab history in Finland. So if there are no more questions, we will be here as well. So you can.